Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm so excited that you are part of the children's ministry team, and I can't wait to share with you ways that you can be a great small group leader and a great asset to this team. So the first thing I want to explain to you guys is that we are starting something pretty awesome here at Compassion. We are using a brand new curriculum called Orange, and Orange is all about partnering with the family. So I want you to check out this video as we learn ways that we can partner with families here at Compassion. As you saw from the video, parents get 3,000 hours a year with their kids. And here at the church, we're gonna get about 40 hours a year with kids. That's a huge, huge difference. So because of that, what happens at home is way more important than what happens here at church. And so we really want to partner with families here at Compassion. And Orange calls itself Orange because it says that the love of the family is red and the light of the church, the light of Christ, is yellow. And when we come together, red and yellow make orange. So when we partner together, that's the sweet spot. That's where kids are being led to a relationship with Jesus. And like I said, what happens at home is way more important than what happens at church. But what happens at church is important too, because we have the opportunity to cue parents to continue teaching their kids at home, to give parents the resources that they need to lead their kids to a life-changing connection with Jesus Christ. And one of the resources that parents need is you. Because there are statistics that say that kids that have 5 or more adults that are Christians that invest in them before they enter college are the kids that are going to stick with their faith after high school. And you have the opportunity to be one of those 5, to show our kids that they are valuable, to show them who Jesus is, to show them that they are loved by Jesus, and to model for them how to have a relationship with Jesus. And so you get a chance, a privilege to be a part of our kids' lives. And I can actually name the people that God put in my life, the people that chose to invest in me, the ladies that were my small group leaders that showed up every week to show me that I was valuable to them and to God, and show me what it meant to have a relationship with God. And you can be a part of that too. So we need to build relationships with our kids and with our families. And to do that, we need to lead small. So check out this video. here at Compassion, if you serve with kids, you are called a small group leader. And a small group leader is typically someone that works with 8 to 10 kids in a small group, either in pre-K or elementary. And we get to show our kids who they are and that they are valuable to us and help them apply what we've been learning to their lives. And so I want you to know that everything we do here at Compassion is designed to make small groups a success. And so if you're a large group leader or you work in security or the welcome desk or tech, whatever you do in the children's ministry, what you are doing is designed to make small groups a success. We want to make families and kids feel welcome as soon as they enter the door, feel like they belong. We want our kids to feel safe. We want our families to feel safe leaving their kids with us. And then we want our kids to be engaged in worship. We want our kids to be engaged in large groups so that when they go to small group, they will have listened and they're excited to talk about what they've learned and how they can apply it to their lives. And so here we want to make sure that small groups succeed. And there are 5 ways to be a great small group leader. And even if you're not a small group leader, you can use these 5 strategies to help you be even better at the way that you're serving as well. Now, the first way to be a great small group leader is to be present. We want to connect kids to a faith community by showing up predictably, mentally, and randomly. Now, you show up predictably by being here every week, and you show our kids that you know them, you know what's going on in their lives, and you check up on them every week. Hey bud, you told me you had a baseball game this week. How did it go? Hey, I heard your grandma's sick. How's she doing? Those are ways that you can show up predictably. And I know that you're going to be out sometimes. That's okay. You go on vacation, your kids get sick, and that's no big deal. And I want you to know that if you need to be out, all you have to do is let me know. And the best way to let me know is to mark your name off of the volunteer clipboard that's at the front desk. And I can show you that as well. But if you just mark your name off, if you know you're going to be out in the next couple of weeks, there's a sheet for every week coming up. That will let me know so that I can prepare a sub for you. And another way that you can let me know is to text me if it is last minute. But I would ask that you try not to text me last minute. Let me know ahead of time if you can. Of course, life happens. People get sick, and that's okay. So that happens, just let me know. So we show up predictably. We make sure that our kids are known and loved. And we want to make sure that our kids have the same leader every single week. And whenever we're in the drop zone playing before Elevate or in Kid Street playing before class starts, please make sure that every kid is engaged. Either engaged with a leader or engaged with another child. We never want a kid to be left alone. We want to show up randomly. And the way you do that is show up at our kids' baseball games and at their recitals, and even show up in their mailbox, send them a letter. These are ways to show them that God doesn't just love you at church. You don't just learn about God in small group. You also can do that when you're at the baseball field, whenever you are at home. We really want to just show our kids that we love them and show up in their lives. And we show up mentally by being prepared, by making sure that you've looked over the lesson, that you've looked at that Lead Small app, and you have prepared. And then also we want to show up mentally by making sure that we just ask God to take away all those distractions that we're entering the room with, so we can be 100% with our kids. And that means also not checking our phone during church as well. And those are the ways that we can be present with our kids. And if you're in security or large group or welcome decks, you can be present by welcoming families and loving them and making them feel wanted as well. The next one is to create a safe place. And we create a safe place by clarifying kids' faith as they grow, by how we lead our group, by respecting the process, and by guarding the heart. And the first way that you can create a safe place is to be a role model. We want to show our kids that we can be silly and that we can have fun, that we can sing and dance and worship God. And when kids see you doing that, they're going to want to do it too. And so I just encourage you to be a role model in the way that you dress and the things that you say and the things that you do while you're here and in your everyday life. We also want to make sure that during teaching that you're listening and that you're encouraging the kids to listen as well, because they'll watch you. And if you're not paying attention, they won't either. And if there are kids that are being a distraction, I just ask that you try to encourage them to be quiet and to listen. And there are different ways you can do that. Like if a kid's talking to your large group, you just go and sit right next to them, because no one wants to be the person sitting next to the teacher. Or you can praise another kid, like, hey, do you see how Gage is sitting so still? He looks awesome. And that's going to encourage them to be still and quiet too, because they want to be praised as well. And later we'll talk about what do you do if there's really an unmanageable behavior issue, and we have a policy in place for that. And the next thing is we want to make sure that kids know it's okay to ask questions and it's okay to answer questions wrong. And you do that by making sure that no kid ever gets made fun of by a peer in the case of answering a question wrong. And also you can share things from your own life that will make them feel like they can open up as well. And we want to make sure that when we're leading small groups that it's all about quality, not quantity. there are quite a few activities in the lessons, and I want you to know that it's okay if you don't get to all of them. You don't have to complete all of them. That's not why they're there. They're there to provide resources for you to keep your kids engaged and also to help them apply what they learn to their lives. But if your kids are loving an activity and they don't want to move on to anything else, that's okay, because they're engaged and they're applying what they've been learning to their lives. Or maybe there's an activity that you're like, this is not going to work for my kids. They're going to get too rowdy, or they can't read very well, so this isn't going to work. Whatever it is, you know your kids best, and I want you to know that you have the freedom to change up the lesson if you need to. And also, if something comes up in class, like maybe a kid asks a really important question that leads to a really important conversation, like, why did God let my grandma die? You can use that time to talk to your group about important issues like that. And if a kid ever asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, please don't make up an answer. Just tell them, that is a great question, and I will help find the answer to that question, and I'll get back to you next week. And you can come to me or Harrison or someone else on staff, and we can help find that answer. So that kid gets their answer, but we don't tell them the wrong thing. So I want you guys to know that we can create a safe place by modeling for our kids and making sure that it's quality, not quantity. The next way is to partner with parents. This is the most important thing, because remember, our parents have 3,000 hours while we only have 40 each year with our kids. And so we can partner with parents by cueing them and by honoring them. And so when kids say things about their parents, make sure that you respect their parents. If kids are complaining about what their parents don't let them do, make sure that you remind them of why their parents make those decisions. And also, we want to make sure that we get to know parents. So in pre-K, this is already happening, because parents drop their kids off at your door, you talk to them, they pick up their kids, you tell them what the kids have been learning, and I want to encourage you to continue doing that and do it even more. Find out what's going on in those parents' lives, what they do for a living, what's going on in their kids' lives. And in Elevate, in elementary, we're going to do the same thing. So when the security guy starts welcoming parents, if you would just be aware of what parents are arriving and walk your kids to their parents and say, hey mom, today we talked about this, and here's a way that you can reinforce it at home. And you can use that doing a parent cue card, and we have parent cue cards that will go home every month that show parents, here's what you can do in the car, here's what you can do during bedtime to help you reinforce what we've been learning. And you can also say, hey mom, Johnny said he has a baseball game this week. I can't wait to hear about it. Just let our parents know that not only do we know their kids, but we know them as well, and we care about what happens at home. And also, another thing that we can do is send home God time cards. Every week, the elementary kids are going to get God time cards, and it's a 4-day devotional where kids get to spend time with God throughout the week. It's a great way for parents to spend time with their kids and to model for their kids how to spend time with God. And the next thing you can do is to make sure that even if you're not a small group leader, you are interacting with parents and you are loving them and welcoming them and getting to know them as well. The fourth way to be a great small group leader is to make it personal. This is whenever you share age-appropriate stories from your life to show the kids that you're a real person, that you make mistakes, and that God has forgiven you, and that you're learning how to have a relationship with Him. So if we're talking about obedience, you can share a story about a time when you were disobedient and the punishment that you face, and it helped the kids understand that, oh, what we're learning at church does help me in my life. And the next way that you can make it personal, like the video said, is to make sure you're taking care of you, is leading you. That's the most important thing you can do. So you need to make sure you're going to church every single week. If you are serving in an area where you're not able to go to church every week, please let me know so that we can make arrangements for you to go to church, because that is so important. If you're not being fed, if you're not learning and growing in your faith, then you're not going to be a very effective small group leader. And the last way that we can be awesome small group leaders is to move them out. This is when we move kids to be the church and we move them on to someone else. And the way that we can move them to be the church is to move them to serve others. And so I want you to know that this is your small group, and you have the freedom to plan things for them. So if your kids have been talking about ways that they can love others or show compassion, and they want to write letters to soldiers, do that. I would love to help you. Let me know. I can pay for postage or help you get stationery, whatever you need. So if you have an idea of ways that you want to move your kids out and help them be the church and help them serve others, please let me know, and I'd love to help. And you could even move your group out of the church. So if you wanted to continue to build a relationship with your kids and everyone go get frozen yogurt together, or everyone go to Clubhouse and do laser tag, whatever it is you want to do with your group, let me know, and I'd love to support you in that and help you continue to build those relationships. So those are the 5 strategies to being a great small group leader. And now we're going to move on to the policies and procedures. Now the policies and procedures are kind of the boring part, but they're super important because they make sure that we provide a safe environment for our kids. And so I'm going to read through the policies and procedures with you, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of this as well. And the first thing on the policies and procedures is volunteer arrival. We want to make sure that when parents arrive, that there are volunteers ready to welcome their kids, so that every parent feels safe leaving their kid and their kids feel welcomed. And so it's really important that you guys arrive at 8:45 on Sunday mornings. We have a quick volunteer huddle where we play a game, we talk with each other, we find out what's going on in each other's lives, we share important information, we pray together, and then we go on to our service areas. And so that's super important. And another thing to know is you need to arrive 30 minutes prior to your service time. So if you're serving at 9:15, you arrive at 8:45. If you're serving at 11, you arrive at 8:45 for our meeting, you go to church, and then you come back at 10:30 so that you can relieve the 9:15 volunteers so that they can get to church, and so that our second hour kids get the same welcome that our first hour kids did. And so that's super important to make sure you arrive at 8:45 and show up 30 minutes before your service time. The next thing is child check-in and dismissal. When kids arrive, they get a sticker that has their name on it, and it also has a security code, and parents get a matching security tag. And parents have to have that to not only drop their kids off, but pick them up. So if a kid comes to your class, he or she does not have a sticker, please send them back to the check-in desk to get a sticker. And on pickup, whenever parents come to pick up, they must have that security tag. If parents do not have that security tag, they cannot pick up their kids, even if you know them. Please send them back to the welcome desk, where the welcome desk will make sure that that's the right parent. And even I know that this is a great community and everyone knows everyone, but we never know what's going on during the week, and we never know when custody battles happen. And so it's really, really important that we are really strict about pickup and make sure that you're matching those tags. Don't just take a tag blindly. Make sure those codes are matching so that our kids are safe and they go home with the right parent. So make sure that a kid never comes in your room without a tag, and make sure that the parents aren't picking up without a tag. If it's a visitor, it'll be a handwritten tag, and the parents will have a laminated card, and that's just as secure. So they can use that to pick up as well. So that's super important. Next thing we're going to talk about is restrooms. It's so vital that we protect our kids from physical abuse. And unfortunately, a lot of that happens in restrooms. And so we need to make sure that we are super strict about our restroom policies and that we keep our kids safe. So one thing that's super important is we never ever go into the bathroom alone with the child. So if a child needs assistance, make sure that the door stays open and that another adult is present. That's super important. And we never ever want to let a child go into the bathroom with another child, because we want to prevent peer-to-peer abuse. And another thing is we want to make sure that if a kid is old enough to go to the bathroom by themselves, that we let them do it by themselves and we stand outside the door. So that is the restroom policy, and we'll talk more about child abuse in just a little bit. So the next thing we need to talk about is allergies. If you are providing food for your small group, we want to make sure that your kids are not coming into contact with food that will make them sick. And so one way to prevent this is only providing certain foods. So in the nursery, they get puffs, and in the scooters and tracks and wagons, they get Cheerios, and in Elevate Extra, they get snacks as well. And so if you want to bring another snack, that's okay, but I want to make sure that the parents are aware of the snack that their kids are getting. And so outside the pre-K rooms, there are allergy posters, and if you could write the snack that you're bringing before parents arrive, then parents will be able to know what their kids are eating. And if you bring a snack but you don't get there before the kids do, then just hold on to that snack till next week, where you can write it up there on the board so that our parents are all aware of what their kids are eating, because we really do want to protect our kids. So the next thing is discipline. If you are in large group or in small group and your little discipline things aren't working, like sitting next to them isn't working, applauding another child isn't working, if redirecting isn't working, so redirecting looks like, hey, but instead of flicking that pencil, why don't you come over here and help me take score with that pencil? So we want to redirect their behavior. If that's not working, then you can use a timeout. And timeout is really the only form of punishment that we can do. But a timeout looks a little bit different here. Instead of having a kid go sit in the corner or be away from all the other kids, we want them to still be able to learn, but we just won't allow them to participate. So just say, hey, come sit next to me, and you'll just have to watch. You'll have to sit this one out. So that's one way that we can do a timeout. And if that doesn't work and a kid is still a disruption, please let security or the welcome desk know, and they'll be happy to help you. And you can radio to them or go get them. But just make sure you never leave your kids alone, and you never send a kid alone. And then next thing is sickness and injury. If a kid has had a fever in the last 24 hours, we ask that they not come, and I ask that you help us with that. So if you have a fever or your child has a fever, don't bring your child within 24 hours. And if there's a sickness or an injury while a kid is at church, if you would let security and the welcome desk know, and they can call out to our either the parents or our medical team, depending on the situation. The next thing is fire evacuation. In the event of a fire, we will evacuate to the real estate office directly behind our building. And so there is a fence between us, but there's a little area beside the fence where we can walk through and avoid going into the road. And so when we evacuate, there's a couple of things you need to know. One thing is we have evacuation bags in your small group room or in your small group box, depending on if you're pre-K or elementary. You have a mesh drawstring bag that has two things in it. It has a flashlight and it also has a paddle. Now the flashlight is just in case the lights ever go out, so that's not for evacuation. But if the lights go out and you need a light, there's a flashlight in your bag. But the paddle is for evacuation. So when you evacuate, you guys are going to take your clipboard that has your roster on it. You're going to take your evacuation bag. You're going to take all your kids. You're going to exit through one of the exits that is in the children's area. There's one in the Elevate drop zone. There's one in Trikes and Wagons. There's one across from the nursery, and then there's also one at the front of the building. And so you'll exit out of whichever is the safest and closest exit. You'll cross behind our building to the real estate office, and when you get there, you're going to take that paddle out of your bag and you're going to hold it up. On one side of the paddle is a green paper that says your age group that you're working with, and on the back side is a red paper. So if everything is okay, everyone has arrived safely to the real estate office, hold up that green paddle, and that lets me know by just scanning the crowd that you guys are safe. If there's an issue, hold up the red paddle. That'll let me know that I need to come check on you. That could be we have a skid knee, or we're missing a child, whatever it is, let me know so that I can come assist you guys. And it's super important that you never ever let a child go home during an evacuation without my say so. So once the kids are outside, parents might come and say, oh no, I gotta get my kid, I need Johnny. Don't let Johnny go home, because we need to make sure that all kids are accounted for before any leave. So once all the kids are accounted for, then I'll give you the go ahead to dismiss kids to their parents with security tags. So the next thing is lost child procedure. If a child is ever lost after they've been checked in, we will shut down the children's ministry until they're found. And so that means no one in or out. The next thing is diaper changing policies. This it goes along with the restroom policy. We need to make sure that only female adults are changing babies, that another adult is present when the diaper is being changed, and that you're wearing gloves and cleaning the area. The next thing is toy cleaning. We want to prevent germ spreading. So if you guys would please clean toys after each service. There is some spray in your classroom called Anywhere Spray, and that is spray that is non-toxic that you can spray down the toys, and it will air dry, or you can wipe them down with towels as well. So that's super important. The next thing is volunteer dress code. Please dress in a way that is modest and comfortable so that you can get up and down off the floor as often as you need to. So for me personally, that means no dresses, because I'm dancing in large group, and then I'm also up and down on the floor, so dresses just don't work well for me. And so I just want you to keep in mind what will work best, what will be the most modest and most comfortable thing you can wear. And pretty soon we'll have volunteer t-shirts, and so you'll get to wear that volunteer t-shirt every week, and so you can just wear jeans and a t-shirt, and that'll be super easy. Now our last thing is our child abuse policy. This goes a little bit with the restroom and the diaper changing policy, and I want you guys to just keep these things in mind so that you're protected from accusation and our kids are protected from abuse. The first thing is that by law, you are required to report suspected child abuse. So if you suspect child abuse and you do not report it, then you are liable to be charged as an accessory to that abuse. So it's super important that you make sure that if you suspect something, you let me know immediately and do not share it with others. We don't want to gossip about it. So the first thing you need to make sure is never let any child go anywhere alone. So if you need something, if you need a stapler or you ran out of snacks and you need to send someone to the front, make sure that a kid is never alone. You can radio for security so that doesn't happen. And we also want to never leave a child alone. We never ever want a child to be left alone in a room. And also we would never want to be alone with a child, never ever one-on-one with a child. You always need to take another adult with you or have at least 2 children with you. And this one's a tough one, but we need to avoid lap sitting. I know that's difficult, especially in the nursery and in pre-K, because kids are naturally inclined to sit in your lap, and we do want to embrace them and love them and comfort them, but we also want to prevent private parts from being so close together. And so that's why lap sitting is a little bit iffy. So if you are in a situation where lap sitting is the best way to comfort a child, then it's okay. But if you can avoid lap sitting, please do. If a child is happy, let them sit right next to you. And if lap sitting is the only way to comfort them, then that's okay, but we really do want to avoid it as often as possible. Also, we want to avoid holding children when it's not necessary. I know in the nursery, holding children is often necessary for feeding or picking them up to move them or change their diaper. So hold kids when necessary, but if you can avoid it, please don't hold kids. And also we want to avoid tickling and unnecessary touching. Those things are fun but not necessary, and they will prevent us from any unsafe touches. And also only assist in the bathroom upon request. And lastly, another adult must always be present. We need 2 adults in every room at all times. So those are the policies and procedures. Thank you so much for listening to all of those. And every one of you will get a small group or a job description for wherever you're serving. And so this just explains to you what your job is as a small group leader, who you report to, what your responsibilities are, and what time to show up and where to be and what to do. All those details are on your small group job description, and the policies and procedures are on the back of that just for you. And so it just says things like make sure you're arriving at 8:45 for the huddle, and it makes sure you're 30 minutes early to your service. And if you're going to be out, that's okay. Just make sure to mark it on that volunteer sheet, the volunteer clipboard that's at the front desk. And also to be prepared, we have a really cool app called the Lead Small app where you can see your lesson every week. It goes live the Sunday evening for the next week, and so you can see your lessons so you can be prepared and ready to lead your group. And I want you guys to know it's okay to be out, but it really is important that you let me know so that we can make sure that there's someone there for your kids, and just to be there as often as you can, because we want to be present in our kids' lives. We do have some more volunteer needs, and so if you know anyone who would be a really great volunteer, please let me know so that I can contact them, and you as well can contact them and encourage them to apply, because we want as many people as we can investing in our kids so that every kid gets those 5 adults who are investing in them and loving them. And I want you guys to know that I know that serving in the children's ministry is a big ask. I'm asking a lot from you. There are a lot of responsibilities. There's showing up early, there's preparing ahead of time. I get it. Whenever I teach large group, I have to spend at least 2 hours on Saturday night and then another hour on Sunday morning just memorizing in my own personal time in order to be prepared. But that is what it takes in order for us to lead kids to a life-changing relationship with Jesus Christ. So I know it's a big responsibility, and I thank you for being willing to take it on. And also, I want to hear your questions. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to contact me. I am so excited that you're a part of our team. Thanks so much for taking time to watch this.